Hiya, you okay?
Yes, sorry, just running around. We're going to Edinburgh tomorrow, so
Oh, okay. Busy then.
well, we're going to the hotel tonight because we need to get to the airport. But yeah, so I'm just had the shower, getting there. Hello.
How are you today anyway? You okay?
Yeah, not bad. Uh, yeah, not bad. Just that's it. Just getting lots of stuff done.
Yeah.
The usual, really. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Weather's a little bit better today, so yeah, can't complain. It's been
Yes.
nice.
Yeah, it's really nice here.
Been nice.
Which is nice. It's been a bit grim recently. It's not been summer. Where are you?
I'm Berkshire. I'm near Reading. Do you know
Oh right,
Reading,
yeah.
Berkshire? Yeah, down south. Yeah.
Yeah, we're South London here, so
Oh, okay. Yeah, not too far
uh,
then. Not too far. Yeah,
no.
thanks for coming on the podcast. Thanks for speaking with me.
That's
Just
right.
telling me a bit about. So, just wanted to ask you some questions about your career. Could I ask you first?
Yeah.
Could you tell me where you was born, where you grew up, and what it was like for you growing up?
Yeah, so I was actually born in Brighton, but I grew up in Yorkshire. We moved up there when I was very young.
Hmm.
I sort of got a parent from down south and a parent from up north. But it was a very small town. Very small town, sort of. Certainly not anything like London or a city of any sort. It was a very small town, very picturesque, but quite lots of issues because there was very little for people my age to do.
Oh, okay.
And it was sort of the very late 80s, early 90s.
Hmm.
So, yeah, it was just a very different time to what it is now. But, yeah, no, it was a nice, happy childhood. I was, very lucky. I've got a great family and
Yeah.
I got on well with people at school. And, yeah, it was fun.
Lovely. When did you realise you wanted to become a writer? What was it like choosing that path in your career?
So originally I wanted to be an actor, and
Okay.
I did a lot of acting at school and so on. And then I sort of lost confidence in it and didn't like sort of just doing stuff on stage.
Hmm.
And at the same time did a media GCSE, which had to do an extra thing while we were doing our A levels. And I thought, well, media, that's telly and stuff. I like telly.
Yeah.
And realised then that actually TV and film and adverts, everything, could be examined in the same way that books could be, like when we did English literature.
Hmm.
And I just found that really interesting, and at the same time realised that actually what I'd quite like to do, I think, is write for actors rather than be an actor. But it was in a pipe dream. There was no Yorkshire in the 90s. No internet. I mean, TV was just this glamorous thing that existed in the corner of the room. It wasn't a world you would ever get into.
Yeah.
And so I went to media at university, went to Carlisle, and that was fun. And I sort of realised, writing was really what I wanted to do, but
Hmm.
didn't really know how to get into it. And then luckily I was a bit of a Doctor Who fan, so I knew about Big Finish, who made the audio adventures.
Yeah.
So I pitched them an idea. I hadn't heard any. I think I'd heard one, that was skint, so I was like, I couldn't afford them. And also, just again, this slightly different world of, I didn't have a credit card, I don't think, so I couldn't order them. I had to buy them from shops.
Yeah.
And not many shops, obviously, stock them. So it was, so I just pitched them an idea, and it all went on from there, really.
Yeah. So you kind of covered this, but what kind of work was involved to get your name out there and get recognised? Was that just pitching ideas to Big Finish?
Yeah, so I pitched just one idea to them, and then thankfully, they decided to make it, and it's called The Rapture, and they asked me to write a second one before The Rapture came out, which was quite handy because The Rapture wasn't very well liked. So it was I was quite lucky that they'd already asked me to do a second one, which then was much more popular with the fans.
Yeah.
Called Master. But at the same time, I think what they saw was that I really liked. I wasn't writing from sort of a fan perspective,
Okay.
which I think a lot of people, certainly people who'd write into them, would do. I was very much writing it as I want to write, I want to be a writer. I just happened to really, really like Doctor Who. So I they put me on other ranges, so TV shows I'd never seen, like Sapphire and Steel and The Tomorrow People. Obviously I went out and then, got the thing was DVD at the time.
Yeah.
And loved. But yeah, so they put me forward on another series because they could see I liked writing character-led stuff, which was a bit different to some of their other stuff. And yeah, it just sort of went on from there, really. I just sort of ended up doing a lot for Big Finish over the years, which was really nice.
Yeah, nice. You've covered this, but are you a Doctor Who fan? Have you watched the show in the past? I take it you've watched the show in the past.
Yeah. I was 12 when it finished, the original series, when it ended. And I'd loved it. But actually, the thing that made me a fan was we used to get our libraries, the town library had a load of the Peter Davison books in hardback.
Yeah.
We used to rent them out. And then one day in our school bookshop, they had a copy of Dragonfire and a novelisation, and suddenly it all connected. I realised, those books we get from the library are the same TV show that I've been enjoying.
Yeah.
And so on, and then made friends with somebody who had like old videos and stuff. So then really became a fan from there. So yeah, I'm certainly I am what you'd call a fan of it, but I'm not quite as big a fan. I thought I was a huge fan of it, and then I started to be Doctor Who fan, and I was like, there's still stories I haven't seen. So let's put it that way. I think I could probably name all the companions in order, but I certainly couldn't name all the stories. And there's that awful feeling when you suddenly realise, oh God, I'm not sure if I've ever seen Seeds of Doom. It just looks brilliant, but I now can't remember if I've ever seen it. So yeah, very much a fan of it. But yeah, really, I suppose you could say it's the books that really probably got me more into it.
Yeah. Do you read quite a lot of the Target books then?
I've got all the Target books. I have all of the Virgin New Adventures and BBC books, but I'm actually selling them because need a bit of cash and need a bit of room. They take up a lot of space, and I realised I'm not actually going to read them again. But the Target books I won't be selling because that was a lovely thing me and my mum had whenever we went anywhere. She had my list of what books to see, and she'd run into second-hand bookshops and go, Joe, they've got this one, The Cave Monsters, 30p. And it was like, hey, great. So I'll never get rid of the Targets.
No.
Yeah, but really, I think I've read them all at some time or other.
Yeah. Nah, I do like Target books. I love them. Going back to your Big Finish stuff, what Doctor Who story are you proud of the most, or had the most fun writing? If you can choose one.
The Big Finish. I'm really proud of the Rani story I've just done for the Rani box set.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
So adventure stuff. So not strictly Doctor Who. I'm really proud of that. I don't know how it happened, but I think it sort of turned into, sort of by mistake, a really lovely thing.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, I tend to be slightly more proud of my non-Doctor Who stuff at Big Finish.
Okay.
I think just because they tend to be a little bit more me, like my Sapphire and Steels and the Tomorrow People I did, tend to be a bit more personal as a writer, whereas a Doctor Who you are fitting in with a format, a much stronger, stricter format.
Yeah.
But I'm very proud of all of them. I think The Reaping actually probably is the one I'm proudest of. It's a Colin Baker and Nicola one, and they were sort of the first team I really remember.
Yeah.
Watching on telly, and so it was so exciting to write for them. I also think they're two of the best actors. I think they're both really, really good. I think Nicola as Perry is really underrated.
Yeah.
Partly because of the scripts she sometimes got on the telly. But it was such a thrill to write for them and to do a slightly more new series-y style story for them, which I enjoyed doing. It was quite character. Yeah. Quite a character piece.
Lovely. What was the feeling like being asked to be part of Doctor Who TV franchise and writing for Torchwood and Sarah Jane Adventures?
It was really exciting, but again, it was slightly... The thing for me with Torchwood was I loved Torchwood. I loved series one of Torchwood, and I think that's one thing that helped me get the job was they knew who I was because of the work I was doing on the BBC websites and so on.
Yeah.
But I had to do a meeting about, meet Russell T Davidson and Julie Gardner and talk about Torchwood, and I'd loved series one, and was able to talk quite honestly about it, like what I felt hadn't worked and so on. And I think that helped. So for me, it was very exciting to be writing for Torchwood, but for me, the big thrill was writing for television. I mean, like I say, that just was very much an impossible dream. When I was growing up and when I was at uni, it was, just not something I believed people like me could do. So actually the opportunity to do that was just amazing. Terrifying though, really, really quite scary, because it's such a big thing. It's like, doing my first Big Finish was amazing, but with Big Finish you are writing something for one person, for the script producer, and then there's a director, and it's acted out by the 6, 7, 8 members of cast, and then someone does the music. So on the TV, it's just so many more people that it's quite intimidating when you first go in. It's like all these people, literally all these people are in this room because of something I've written, and are discussing what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. So that was the big thing. But yeah, I mean, certainly, as a Doctor Who fan, you get that thrill of knowing that what you're writing is going to end up on the TARDIS wiki. And that whenever people talk about Torchwood, that episode of Torchwood I wrote is always good to be there. So that's very exciting.
Cool. When you're writing stuff, do you actually get to meet all the cast of the show and the audio?
Audio depends, basically, if you go into the studio, which happens a bit less these days. Certainly didn't happen during COVID. And
of course.
To these days, it can be still a bit, depends how it's recorded. But certainly in the olden days, I mean, I went to every recording. So I met everybody then. Usually with my TV stuff, most shows, I've spent a day on set. There's been a few kids shows more recently. Again, one was shot during COVID. One was shot in Glasgow, so it wasn't really convenient. But yeah, certainly like Sarah Jane and Torchwood, I went on set. Torchwood, I think I did 2 days on set, and Sarah Jane, I went 1 day on set each time. It's great, and it is lovely to meet everybody, but at the same time, everybody's very busy.
Yeah, of course.
So while it is great to watch, you are just sort of standing and very clear that you're kind of in the way. So you sort of stand back and you've had some really, some of the directors have been absolutely lovely. They've got me a chair, come and sit next to me at the monitor, look at the shot, but at the same time, you are just like, I know I'm in the way, basically. You'd rather I wasn't here, but it's just part of the job that I get to spend 1 day on set. Yeah,
that's amazing anyway. Amazing. You've also written some Sherlock, as well as the Sherlock Live Twitter online game, where you won People's Voice Award. What was it feeling like winning this?
Oh, that was amazing, because I've never won an award. I think I've won polls in Doctor Who magazine, but I don't think I've ever... I think we won something on Sarah Jane Adventures once. We did win an award there. I know I held a trophy for a little bit that was in the studio.
Okay.
But yeah, it was really exciting, because it'd been a really fun job, but a really hard job, because it was something that hadn't been done, well, variations presumably had been done before, but certainly for the people working on it. Actually, I'm not sure. I can't think of a time when, a fictional character has taken over a Twitter account. And I love telling stories in different mediums. So I've done lots of internet, I've done immersive experiences, TV, film, audio drama, theatre. I love doing that because I like the challenge of finding a new way to tell a story. And with that was certainly the biggest challenge. I had to basically come up with a murder mystery, work it all out, work out the clues, and then we had to eke that out over an evening on Twitter, but also responding to what people were saying. And the absolute fear of, certainly if you do a murder mystery, I've done a couple of murder mysteries that, even with any kind of story, you don't want people to know what the ending is. But with a murder mystery, has a very special way. I'm a big fan of Agatha Christie, and what she does brilliantly, and what I think you have to try and do with any kind of murder mystery or similar type thing, is when it finishes, you have to sit there and go, well, of course that person was the killer. That person is the only person who could have been the killer. But while you're reading it or watching it, your brain's got to be going, is it that one, is it that one, is it that one? So it's quite a challenge to make it an absolutely satisfactory ending, but an ending that nobody got. And I was really thrilled with the Twitter, with the Sherlock Twitter thing. I don't think many people got it at all. They missed what I thought was a really, really obvious clue, and they missed it, and that was really exciting. So yeah, to win an award for that was brilliant, and sort of I'm normally dressed in the tattiest clothes, and my hair's a mess and everything. So to actually wear a suit somewhere, and to actually go to a posh do,
Yeah.
and it really was just like, here's your little, I don't know what the food was, and people kept topping up your wine, so you're quite merry. But to be with people you work with a lot, and for them to be dressed up, because it's a slightly odd job in that we don't have Christmas dues. You don't see your workmates that much socially because they're in another part of the country and so on. So it was really nice just to hang out with Joe Pearce and the others and just have a nice night out. And then to go on stage was amazing.
Cool, lovely. Sounds awesome. Could you tell me what you have lined up for the future and look forward to working on?
So at the moment, I'm writing a full-length play, which is fun. Being paid to do, which is good.
Okay.
Because theatre is notoriously hard to get into or to get paid for. I'm also writing. I've just written another audio for Big Finish, and I'm trying to pitch for another one. And the main thing I'm trying to do at the moment is write a couple of TV spec scripts.
Okay.
The script, that my agent will then send around. So I'm trying to write an adult script and a children's script because I've not actually done any kids' TV this year. It's been the first year in about God knows how many years.
Okay.
So it's quite good and busy, but yes, it would be nice to do some more telly. I haven't done anything since last year. I spent all year working on a show, so it'd be nice to do that. But yes, it's just sort of dimbling around doing sort of 4 or 5 different things. And just trying to, sort of do well with them. And I'm actually writing a 20,000 word novella, which is just quite exciting. Because I've not really done a massive amount of prose. I've done short stories in the past, but I'm enjoying writing that as well. That's
cool.
fun.
Cool. I read online that it's been announced that you're working on a new audio series of the Sarah Jane Adventures. Is that right?
Oh, sorry, that's the Rani thing that came out.
Oh, okay.
Earlier on.
Okay.
That came out, I wouldn't say last month. I think it was last month, maybe before.
Okay.
That was, and it's basically Sarah Jane Adventures spin-off. It's set 15 years later, so it's got the kids in it from the Sarah Jane Adventures, but they're now 30 years old. It was really fun. I loved the characters and the actors. It turns out the guy who plays Clyde lives around the corner from me, so we've been out for pints.
Oh, okay.
Danny, so that's fun. But it was really, really, really lovely to go back into that world, because that was possibly the happiest job I've ever had in my life, was the Sarah Jane Adventures. It was such a joyous, very hard work, but a really joyful show to work on. And so to sort of go back to it and have that nostalgia for it, and just little things like I'd look up the name of a street that was mentioned in the show and use that as the street name, to really fit into that world. It was really fun just doing something that was very, again, it's slightly different. A lot of the Big Finish stuff, the Doctor Who stuff I've done, has been about fitting in somewhere, It's between Charlotte Time Lord and whatever. Whereas this is explicitly 15 years later.
Yeah.
So it's doing something Big Finish tends not to do so much. They've done it with time slip. But most, it's quite a rare thing for Big Finish to have something that is the next generation of it. Which is, it was just really fun.
Yeah. Do you listen to Big Finish audios? Do you listen to quite a lot of them?
I don't all of them now. There's just so many.
There is,
which is great. It's brilliant. There's so many, but there's also a lot of telly at the moment, and I like to keep on top of Apple and Netflix and stuff like that. Yeah. So I'll listen to I listen to all of the Torchwoods. I listened to Time Slip, which is bizarre because they brought that out, and I was like, "What is this show?" So we got the DVD of it and really loved it. So I listened to the Time Slip range, listened to all of Torchwood, and then I sort of pick and choose. Bit and stories to listen to. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of recasts, so I tend not to listen to those, but they are very popular. And there's so much good quality stuff. It's just there literally isn't the time. I don't commute, so I don't have
That's
5 minutes on a train to actually listen to 2 episodes of Doctor Who. For me, it has to be I'm going to stop working and stop and listen to it. So yeah, it's not something I can do quite so much these days, sadly.
Yeah, that's the same. I've listened to quite a few of them, but there's just so many out there. I just don't know where to start with it or
I think you
which
just have to
stories.
pick your favourites. So I love the Benny Summerfield range,
Mm.
so I'll always listen to Benny Summerfield. But I think with Doctor's Advantage, you just have to pick a range and go for it, I think.
Yeah, of course. Apart from writing taking up a lot of your time, do you have any hobbies you enjoy doing?
Drinking. Yeah, I like going out. I like going to the pub. I like hanging out with my mates. I go and see a lot of fringe theatre.
Okay.
So I'm going to the Edinburgh Festival tomorrow morning, first thing. I have a few days there. But I see a lot of fringe theatre in London.
Mm-hmm.
I stopped smoking a couple of years ago, so I'm still trying to keep as slim as I can, which is tricky. So I go walking a lot.
Yeah.
Do a lot of brisk walking every day. That's about as close as I'm ever going to get to a gym. But yeah, no, basically, I just like hanging out with my mates. I really like I like doing, going to fringe theatre, but also like we go to bingo. I'll go to bingo once in a while and stuff like. It's anything that's with my mates that's just a bit of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Karaoke, anything that's just something gets you out of the flat.
Cool.
After 3 years or 2 years locked up, it's ready to be out every day. So yesterday I went to the cinema in the afternoon, and then and I was like, I'm not actually I'm not on holiday, so we can't have too much to drink. And we went to one, and it was fun. But yeah, I went to the cinema. So just the usual stuff, not very exciting.
Yeah. Sounds like good hobbies though. Sounds like perfect hobbies. Just one final question then before we go. What advice would you give anyone that wants to become a writer or is maybe struggling to progress in that career path?
I mean, it is really hard. I find it really difficult still. I get such writer's block. This audio I've just done for Big Finish took so much hard work from the script editor to keep coming back to me and going, it's not quite there. And then the finished thing will hopefully be amazing because it's got such a good cast. It's very exciting. But I find it very hard. The advice I suppose I give people is go out a lot, meet people, don't think of a writer as being this sort of solitary, locked away person, because you can't write about people unless you see people and meet people and meet different groups and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always I always in the past had different jobs. I was a waiter, I was a car salesman, I was all sorts of things. And I think that's really important to experience people in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I used to say carry a notebook with you, but we've all got phones now, so
yeah.
So you have a phone with you. Anything, if you just think of a line, or you just overhear something, or you think of an idea, just get it written down straight away because you will forget it.
Yeah.
Same with if you dream something, it's like write it down straight away because you will forget otherwise. And then and I think it's about there's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of opportunities, a lot more than there was when I was younger, but also a lot more because of the internet. Like where we lived, there wasn't fringe theatre, certainly. There is everywhere now, but in cities especially, where if you don't live in a city, you've got the internet. So I would say subscribe to the BBC Writers' Room, and they'll give you updates, and they'll tell you here's a short play competition, or here's a massive TV opportunity. So there's plenty of options out there, but I think the main advice I always give people is you're going to get notes, you're going to get feedback, you're going to get notes while writing professionally. You're not a genius. You're not someone who discovered genius. A writer's very high up and they're still getting notes. Russell T Davies has a script editor. Stephen Moffat has a script editor. There are people who go back to these amazing gobs of writing and saying, right, that line doesn't work or that joke needs fixing. They get far fewer notes than the rest of us, but it does happen. So you need to be prepared to do that. And whenever I've given any notes, whenever I've script edited to people, I've always said, if I give you 10 notes, 8 of them are right, argue 2 of them, because there will be a note where you'll disagree with it. But you've got to understand that is the process.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that you are going to get feedback, and it's not always going to be pleasant. So you've got to be a bit thick-skinned, which is much easier to say than do. I still get upset if I see a bad review. But yeah, you just have to accept that that's the thing. But I think the main thing is you just have to keep going for it.
Yeah.
Get people hearing and reading what you've written, so that you're getting feedback and people are going, really like this. You need to do something with it.
Awesome. Thanks for the advice. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for speaking to me, telling me about your career.
Thanks for having me.
No worries. But yeah, enjoy your trip away, and thanks for coming on. It's been awesome.
No worries. Good.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye bye.